Okay, next graph we're looking at is this absolute value graph. Again, listing the transformations. So first of all, I check to see if there's a shift to the left or to the right, and the +4 actually tells me that it's going to go to the left 4 because that's inside your function, because your absolute value bars indicate your function. Okay, next is a stretch or a shrink. Now, I do have a number in front multiplied, but it's a -1. That's actually not a stretch or a shrink, because if you recall, when you're talking about stretches and shrinks, none of this is negative, because if you're between 0 and 1, that's a positive number, and if you're bigger than 1, it's a positive number. So the negative that you have here, it being out front, is actually the x-axis reflection. And then the +2 being at the end of the function, that's going to shift your graph up 2. Okay, so your absolute value graph, so let me put it up here real quick. This is the V-shaped graph. So again, this will be the 3 points that we're going to start with, but when I'm done, I've got to know to connect them up to have that V shape. So mark those 3 points real quick. Okay, so I'm going to shift each of those to the left 4. So I'm going to start with this one. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And now this one. And now this one. Okay. But now I need to take those 3 points and do the x-axis reflection. So x-axis reflection, of course, is where you take what you have above and you flip it below. If you happen to have any points below, then that's going to flip up. So this point will flip down here. This point will flip down here, but this point's not going to move because it's right on your pivot point of your x-axis. So, like I said, it doesn't move. All right, last is to take these 3 points and shift each one of them up 2. Okay, so this one, 1, 2, so it actually lands right there. This one, 1, 2, and this one, 1, 2. So what happens is your V, because remember absolute value is always V-shaped, your V is going to end up upside down because of the x-axis reflection. Okay, next one. Okay, so again, going through the list of what we need to do. First of all, checking to see if I have a left or a right, which the -2, see it's inside the parentheses to the third power, so that's again what I refer to as being inside the function. Minus means it's going to go to the right 2. Alright, you do not have a stretch or a shrink. You've got the negative out front like you had just a minute ago, so that's actually x-axis reflection. Okay, now that's the only 2 transformations that this equation will have. Now this is your cubic, your x to the third power, so you've got your third power here. So this will be the shape of the graph. So this will be the 3 points we start with, and then this is the one that stretches up and down. Okay, so marking the points I need to start with. Alright, first thing that I need to do is take each of those and shift each one of them to the right 2. So that point would shift to here, this one would shift to here, this one would shift to here. Okay, so now I've got to take these 3 points and do the x-axis reflection. So of course this is your x-axis. So this point would flip to down here, this point would flip to up here, and that point actually wouldn't change at all because it's right on your x-axis. Now remember, your cubic graph stretches out up and down really steep. Now it doesn't go straight up, so don't make this part vertical. I mean, it's, you know, it's a curve. You know, it kind of works its way to the left at the same time it goes up. But it's going to come down through this point, curve down through here, and then just kind of go off this way. But it's a steep graph. It goes up and down really steep. Okay, next one. So this time we're going to look at the cube root graph. Okay, so listing the transformations. Okay, so checking to see if you have a shift to the left or the right, and you do. The -2, so this being underneath the radical symbol means you're within the function, so that's going to be to the right 2. Okay, you do have a shrink in this case, this number being multiplied, but because it is between 0 and 1, then that's going to be a shrink by 1/2. Alright, so that's the only 2 transformations I have here. Okay, so this is the graph. This is my cube root, so these 3 points, and then you stretch that out to the left and to the right when we go to connect it up in just a minute. Alright, so putting those 3 points in to get started. Okay, I'm going to shift each one of those to the right 2. Okay, but now I've got to do the shrink by 1/2. Okay, so if you want to list those points, so this would be 3, 1. This one is 2, 0. And this one is 1, -1. But then I would need to multiply the y coordinate by 1/2. So this would be 3, 1/2, 2, 0, and 1, -1/2. So the x stays the same, times 1/2 times 1/2 times 1/2. So let me plot these 3 points. So 3, 1/2. Of course, the 2, 0, that one didn't change. And then I've got 1, -1/2. Now remember, this is the one that stretches out left and right. Now, it doesn't go perfectly horizontal, so even as it goes off to the left, you know, it's gradually going down. As this goes out to the right, it's also gradually going up. You know, so try to, you know, keep from just, when you turn it, you know, just making it go perfect left and right, because it doesn't. Okay, last thing